one's adjusted the mic tonight. It's fucking impossible. Oh, that was not. Right. So, I turned 40 recently, and the very same week I had a root canal done on top of a giant abscess, and I got laid off, all in the same week. Happy birthday to me. And the thing about turning 40, when you've got a wife, some kids, a mortgage, for the moment, is that you reevaluate everything. You start questioning anything you see. Why is this? Why is that? What should I teach my kids to be? What should I be doing for a living? And so you go through these questions and you start to reevaluate who you are. So I started to think about having a career change, and I thought, I could be a rugby commentator. You only need to know two things to be a rugby commentator. One, you need to be able to inject homoerotic subtext into any commentary. These stock standard phrases: penetrating the defence, going hard at the number 10, handling the balls. Just inject them in and you'll be fine. The other thing you need to know is the phrase. There's just one phrase and they all use it, and it's completely meaningless, and you can use it whether you're winning, losing, or if it's too close to call. And that phrase is, they really needed those points. When your team scores, well, hey, they really needed those points. When your team misses the opportunity to score, they really needed those points. So to be an ultimate commentator, all you need to do is actually mix them up and just try and get the ultimate commentary. Yeah, they went hard at the number 10, came in from behind, they had really good ball handling skills to get the points they really needed. And there you are, you're a rugby commentator.
Nice.
Thanks, Easy. My friends are down on the front. But I'm not sure I could actually do that on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I can be as gay as the next guy in a XXL suit and an ill-fitting tie, but I'm not sure I could use that phrase and not have it feel like torture. I mean, it's completely inappropriate half the time. At the last World Cup, we beat Portugal 108-13. Now, Portugal scored, I think it was a penalty, and one commentator said, they really needed those points. Well, no, they fucking didn't. They needed 96 more without answer. That was what they needed. And when our guys crossed the line into the triple figures, nobody said, well, they don't really need those points, they're just showing off now. So, I'm not sure I could do that. It would be torture to me. No, torture confuses me. It's sleep deprivation, unholy shrieks and wails at all hours of the night, and being immersed in so many liquids that you think you're drowning. That's not torture, that's parenthood. See, I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and the bodily fluids and the bodily solids that I'm subjected to on a daily basis, I'm pretty sure are actually in direct violation of the Geneva Convention. Now, I'm of two minds about the anti-smacking debate. On one hand, I think it's a really good idea. I mean, it takes away the legality of the loving abuse, the kind that corrects a child's behaviour and corrects the unbrokenness of their bones and the unbleedingness of their major organs. But on the other hand, there is a downside. And that downside is that it's played havoc with my sex life. A complete and total ban on spanking means we've gone from, you've been a naughty boy, smack! It's much less gay when she does it. So, you've been a naughty boy. Go sit on the naughty step and think about the consequences when you're whoring. And when you decide not to be slutty, come back and we'll talk about our feelings. It just takes all the fun out of foreplay. She actually made me sit on the naughty step for 67 minutes the other night. And it wasn't until much later that I realised it was so she could watch Grey's Anatomy uninterrupted. See, I got my notes on my hand, but I keep doing this, and I'm like, oh fuck, what am I going to do next? Anyway, so the thing about being unemployed and your wife working, and you're not, is that the balance of the house is totally upset and everything changes, and you find yourself doing more at home, picking up the slack. Slack being what your attitude was when you were both working and she was doing all the housework. So I had to learn to use the washing machine. And she was very patient with me. She was very kind, and she sort of gave me some very detailed instructions. But I did tune out at one point because I started thinking about how much PlayStation time I could get in before I had to hang the washing out. So I totally missed the bit about the colour wash. So I was a little defensive when she came home and held up a pink blouse and said, "What's this?" I said, "It's a pink blouse." She goes, "Yes, because this morning it was a white blouse. Why didn't you separate the whites from the colours?" And I said, rather stupidly it seemed in hindsight, Why? Never worked in South Africa. That's when I was kind of happy about the no spanking rule. Washing, yes, of course. So, when you do washing, you've actually got to pay a lot more attention to the weather reports. And I really, really start to hate the weather. It's not because they occasionally or even frequently get it wrong. It's not like meteorology is a science. But it's the amount of time of mine that they waste every day. Every channel, every weather forecast, they're all the same. Because they spend 5 minutes telling you what the weather was all over the country. What's the bloody point in that? If you were there, you experienced the weather. If you weren't there, what are you going to do with this information? So I mentioned this observation to my dad, and he said, well, it's for the farmers. Now, New Zealand farmers are an inventive bunch. I mean, if you want someone to invent revolutionary sheep dipping technology, electrified fencing, or better milking machines, they're your go-to guys. But I'm pretty sure not one of them has invented a cattle transportation device that can move in both space and time. Trev, are you there? Yeah, Trev, it's Bruce up in Ekatahuna. Listen, I noticed that you had some corporate weather down there in Balclutha today, and so I excited some Higgs boson particles. I created a rift in the space-time continuum, and I was thinking about putting the herd across the Einstein-Rosen bridge I created, putting them in your top paddock about 8 hours ago. Nice view. Now I lost my place again. Top paddock was going somewhere else. Yes, if someone had invented a time machine, I'm sure they would have done something that would have been better than just moving cattle around. They would have done something to benefit humanity if you could travel in time. Popping back and giving Celine Dion's dad a couple of condoms. Yeah, something that would be good for everyone. Now, I'm quite open about my sexuality. I'm bisexual, I'll admit it. If you don't know what that term means, let me explain it to you. That means I have to pay my wife to have sex with me. No, I know what you're thinking. That wouldn't make me bisexual, that would make her a whore. But you'd be wrong to whore one. And apparently that's quite a mood killer. See, the other thing I've noticed about calling people bad names is that it never happens on the news when someone's died. If someone's been killed by a serial killer or just some random act of violence, they're like, he's a really lovely guy, I wish it hadn't happened to him, we'll really miss him. You never hear, he was a dick, I'm not going to miss him. Dead school students are always A students who are loved by pupils and teachers alike. It's every random act of violence and random brick dropped off an overway motor pass always seems to target the best and brightest of us. So only one logical conclusion can be drawn from this, that if you want your kids to live, teach them to be assholes now.